Ah! Back heel. That's a dime red card.
And
Oh my god. Yeah, it was on you because he... No, 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 I'm pretty sure he actually
Let's
got
go.
the...
Oh my gosh, that is saucy. Again, another same exact pass. Make that. Oh. Oh my.
Yoink. Bang.
Look at that lane. Oh my gosh. We got mid there? Yeah, I see. Casey? Yep, you're on.
Casey.
Oh, look at the lead. No, bro.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Ooh, cross opportunity. Actually, I'm just going to double tap this one. I like that.
oh, nice.
Do that, buddy.
Oh,
Let's see you do that.
Oh my god.
Yo, how's it going, guys? This is Lesky, and in this video, I'm going to show y'all how to use the new Inventive playstyle in FC26. I made some playstyle tutorials last year, and a lot of y'all seem to really like them, so I plan on making more this year. So this is going to be my first one for 26. Throughout this video, I'll be showing gameplay of me utilizing Inventive. All the gameplay will be in pro clubs, because if you haven't seen my channel before, I am a clubs content creator, but of course this tutorial will be helpful for any game mode y'all play. To start, let's read the description EA provides us for Inventive. It says it will improve accuracy for fancy and Trivela passes, and then it'll also give you contextual inventive animations. And then for Inventive Plus, it says it'll perform greater accuracy for fancy and Trivela passes, and then you'll still have those contextual inventive animations. So basically, Inventive Plus, you'll just have better accuracy when it comes to the flare passes and the Trivela passes compared to the silver one. So as I said at the beginning of the video, Inventive is a new playstyle, and this playstyle is basically a combination of Trivela and flare from previous years, but it only works for passes. While there's another playstyle called Game Changer that only works for Trivela and flare shots. This is important to know so you don't accidentally try going for a fancy shot or Trivela shot while using Inventive, because it won't work unless you also have Game Changer. Let's now go over how to actually use Inventive. You will need to press LT on Xbox and L2 on PlayStation while doing a pass. So basically the left trigger. This is how you'll activate both a flare and Trivela pass. This can make it kind of tricky sometimes because there might be situations where you want to go for a flare pass, but you end up doing a Trivela and vice versa. If you're wanting a fancy pass, a good way to avoid accidentally performing a Trivela is by doing light power on your passes. More than not, this will make your player go for a flare pass rather than a Trivela. If you end up adding a good amount of power, then you'll most likely do a Trivela. Unless your player's body isn't properly set up for a Trivela, then you might see your player attempt a flare pass. This is another thing I want to mention, especially when it comes to consistently activating Trivelas. You need to know which foot is your dominant one, because it won't work for your weak foot. You need to make sure your player's body is in the correct position to actually do a Trivela. At times, if I'm looking to do a Trivela pass, I'll try to do a skill move or even like a simple ball roll to set the ball up on my dominant foot and get the correct angle I want. Trivela passes are extremely useful for when you have a player with a 4-star weak foot or less, so you can avoid making passes with your weak foot. Trivelas are also great because your passes will receive extra curve, which can be helpful to avoid defenders. Make sure to keep all of this in mind because it's quite important if you want to take full advantage of Inventive. Now, what passes can you do with Inventive? It can be performed with pretty much any pass in the game. The only pass that seems the most difficult to activate it with is the precision lob. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem possible to manually trigger a Trivela or even a fancy pass when it comes to doing a precision lob. At times, I've seen it activate contextually, but I don't believe you can manually do it. Personally, I like doing Trivela passes for ground and air through balls, driven passes, and crosses, which you should be able to see in the clips. Then for flare passes, I like doing some simple ground passes, through balls, lofted through balls, and even dink passes, which are the double tap passes you can make where the ball pops up about knee to waist height, which can make it difficult for defenders to intercept. Depending on the direction your player is facing or where you are wanting to make a pass, you will receive different fancy pass animations. Once you start using this playstyle more, you'll eventually get the hang of how to activate certain types of flare passes. I believe that is everything you need to know on how to utilize the Inventive playstyle in FC26. But now I'm in the practice arena with Cole Palmer, and he actually has Inventive Plus. So I want to give you all some examples on like the different types of passes that you can possibly make. But first of all, I think we can actually go over here, press start in the practice arena, and then go to button help. And if I go over to attacking advanced, we can see some of the passes. They don't have them all listed, but you can see some of them, like some of the basic passes you can make. So right here, these left trigger ones, right at the top, left trigger plus A, that is just a flare pass or a swerve. Swerve also kind of means the same thing as Trivela. If you don't have like Inventive, you can do a swerve pass with like the inside of your foot and add curve. But it's basically the same thing. So flare pass, just a simple A pass, you can do that. And then you have also the shot, but that's only for game changer. And then right here, we have the X pass, like a lob or a cross you can do it with. And then also like the through ball, but you can also do like an LBY or like an L1Y on PlayStation, like a through ball in the air, even though it doesn't have it listed here. So you can do pretty much any combination of pass, like I was saying, other than those precision lobs. You can't like manually do it. It's pretty much only contextual for precision lobs. And then right here, there is the precision swerve ground pass right at the very bottom, which is left trigger. And then you have to hold RB on Xbox or R1 on PlayStation, and then the through ball button. And I'll show you guys that too, because I do utilize that a lot. It's actually really nice. If you have Inventive, and then if you Trivela them, you can really put a lot of curve on those through balls. So now let me show you all some of these passes. And I might actually just take this other player out just to make it a little bit easier. And I can just make these passes to no one. So that is just the A pass. You can do it literally anywhere, and that is activating the Trivela. If I do a back heel, you can see it does a little back heel animation like that. You can then do it that way, and then depending on like the angle you're doing, you can get different fancy pass animations. And it seems like they added more this year. Like the flare passes are actually pretty nice sometimes, and you can get a good amount of them. And I just really like the simple back heel one because it's very quick to get off, and you can really surprise people by just doing a pass facing the opposite direction. It can be really good. And that's like a little kind of like a roulette type of fancy pass where you do at the back of your heel. There's a bunch of different ones like that, but that was just the ground pass. So now I can do a Trivela, which I didn't do that. See, I didn't have my body set up properly, I guess, for a Trivela. Cole Palmer is left-footed, so I need to keep that in mind. And I believe he has like a 3-star weak foot. So that just did like an inside the foot curve. This time it did a Trivela, and then it's pretty much the same thing. It's probably not going to look very different from the A pass because I don't have an actual player I'm passing it to, but you can see these different animations. If I do one kind of straight and you look at that curve, it adds some pretty nice curve to the pass. And then another one would be, say, I wanted to do a through ball in the air. So I'm going to hold the left trigger, press the Y button on Xbox, triangle button on PlayStation, and then also the left bumper, so LB on Xbox or L1 on PlayStation, and then I can activate a through ball in the air like that. Try and get him on goal. See if I can get a nice one to him. There's a Trivela right there, and you can see the curve, and it looks actually really nice, and then I missed the chance, obviously, but these Trivelas can be really good for through balls in the air just to like curve the ball. And it just seems like it just makes the through balls even better. Next, I could try and do some fancy through balls, which I like to do. So I'm facing backwards. There's a scoop backwards right there, which is pretty nice. It actually can really throw people off. And a lot of times, say like I'm playing like cam or something, I will be like top of the box and I have runners like running in the box. And there's just defenders right here, like at the top of the box. I can almost like scoop it, or a Bona. It can be a good way to utilize that, or even obviously a Trivela, but I would like to do a scoop. Sometimes it won't activate right there. You could see the scoop, but there's not a defender I'm passing it over, so it probably didn't go very high. Maybe if I can get the defender back in here, we can see if I can get this to actually work, because over the years, I've really liked doing scoops. Right there, that's almost perfect situation right there. Example, I just scoop it completely over the defender, and that can be really good around the top of the box. Let me see if I can get another like Trivela over the top. Okay, that's a Rabona, but you can see what I'm going for and how useful this can be. So this would just be like curving it around them. So that's an example, but also like say I'm like deep, like right here on the line, and then I have a player like basically right in front of me trying to make a run in behind this defender. It's also pretty good for situations right here to curl it around. Obviously that's not what I want the defender to do in this situation, but something like that. Obviously that was offside. So instead of like making the pass like inside like this, like I just did, I'm actually going to do a trivela because I'm left footed with Cole Palmer, and it's going to go like that. So let me show you guys. Obviously these aren't the best examples because the defender is not behaving properly. Maybe if I got like a second defender, it'd be better because he's kind of just attacking the ball. Let me just take the players out, and I can basically just show you without the players. So just like a through ball like that, and it curves, and that one was actually not bad, was pretty bad. There was no curve on that one, but right there, something like that, that's gonna be really nice for someone just running down the line. And then you can mix in the precision passes. So the precision swerve ground pass, which I like to utilize a lot. And this is basically the same thing, but you have to hold RB, and it's like a manual pass because you actually have a line, and you can see, oh, I didn't do the trivela there. You can see right here, it does basically the same kind of pass, but it's manual. So it can be really good for like dumping it into space for your teammates to run onto instead of like hitting it more like right to them. You basically just put them in like a race, a sprint to beat the defender. And then you also, say you have a guy on the left wing, you can curl it through like center backs or gaps between like the fullback and the center back and do something like that. I really like doing those kind of precision passes. You could do a cross, say you're running down the line. Say you're like an inverted winger or whatever. Or yeah, an inverted winger, and then boom, you could trivela it instead of doing like a cross with your weak foot. And then also if you go to the opposite side, a good way to use it is to do like a cutback and then trivela it. So you of course could just do a normal cross with your dominant foot right there. You could do a skill move or whatever, just left stick and then cut it back and then do a cross. Right there it did a Rabona, it didn't activate the trivela. Let me try that again. And then boom, something like that. Obviously there's no runners in the box, so it's not really locking onto anyone, but that is an example. You can also do like a ground cross, like a double tap X, like right there, where it just puts it on the ground and does a trivela. And then if you have whipped on top of that, it'll combine and you'll have like extra curve from whipped pass, and the trivela pass will be really good with Inventive or Inventive Plus. So that's an option. Or you could even do like, sometimes I'll do like a precision pass like that to kind of sweat it across the box rather than doing an actual cross. Or you could do like a low driven cross, like right there. It almost just looks like a normal cross, but that was like in both bumpers, double tap X. You could also do a low driven just cross like that. And I have really like doing the driven lob passes. I made a video over it last year where I was just doing the driven lob passes. It was just so broken, and it's still very good this year. If you have pinged or like long ball, good passing stats, and then especially if you mix in like a trivela with it, you can even do it with like Rabona passes, which is like absolutely insane. They're basically like a through ball almost, or a long ball, but it's like very low and driven, and it gets to your target extremely fast. I'll try and do it right here if I can get him to actually make a run forward. Right there, it does the Rabona. I kind of want him to just stay on the sideline and run. Maybe he needs to be behind me. No, he keeps tucking in. What are you doing, bro? Yeah, go over there. Yeah, keep running, and boom. See, that one went really low. It actually bounced before he even got to touch the ball. So that's also very good, but that one takes a lot of buttons. You have to press both bumpers, the left trigger, and then the pass button. So that one's a little bit difficult, but if you get the hang of it, it can be extremely deadly. Then there's just a few more passes I want to show you guys. I almost forgot, so I came back in this practice arena, but you can do a lofted cross. So a lofted cross is holding LB on Xbox or L1 on PlayStation and then just doing a cross, and that's just like a higher up cross, but you can also trivela those if you also hold the left trigger. So let me see if I can get it right here with Cole Palmer. I do a little cut in to put it on the trivela, and you can see how that's a pretty high up cross right there. And of course you can do it on the other side. And then I also want to show you the dink passes that I was mentioning towards the beginning of this video, the double tap passes, like double tap through ball or just a double tap normal pass. And these can be very good to utilize for Inventive. It can also be used for trivela, so I'll see if I can get some of those for you guys. But that was actually a nice little fancy pass that you could see right there, and it did it again But let me see if I can get a Trivela to activate. It's hard to activate the Trivelas, but sometimes it will. But this kind of goes back to what I was saying with the light power. When you're doing double taps, it kind of does light power because you're trying to do it really quick. So it will just mostly do a fancy pass rather than a Trivela. And then you add more power, it'll most likely do a Trivela pass unless you're just not in the correct body position. So these double tap passes can be really good. Right now I'm just doing a through ball, but you also could say just do it right to his feet, doing just an A pass on Xbox, X pass on PlayStation. And then if we mix in a defender here, they're very nice for doing a pass like a backwards too, like this. You can really catch people off, and say you have like 2 defenders. Let's move them a little bit. Let's do one right here. Put the forward like right in front of me almost. And then another defender right here. So almost like you got like 2 center backs. You can basically turn around, and then obviously he's offsides, but do like a fancy pass. Maybe the player needs to be a little bit closer to me. And I'll spread them out a little bit more and see how the defenders behave. But you can do something like that, and you can see it actually is pretty useful, and I was doing that a good amount when I was playing pro clubs. So there y'all go. That is my first playstyle tutorial for FC26, where I go over the new playstyle called Inventive. Let me know in the comments if this video helped you. Like this video for me, and make sure you're subbed to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. As always, y'all have a great rest of y'all's day, and peace out.